All right.
I can't believe you're in a rocking chair out in the woods of Tennessee. I'm so jealous of you right now.
Listen, okay, here's how you know that I love you people. All right. I took my family to Anaheim and recorded with you from a hotel room. I was working in the dead of winter in Chicago, and I record with you in a hotel room. And here I am in the scenic hills of Tennessee.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And yet you and I are going to talk about some wonderful campy horror comedy tonight, Ashley. It's a movie night.
It's a movie night, Joel. Grab your popcorn. We're going to watch Death Becomes Her.
The Articulate Coven is the original unofficial fan podcast and community for Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire, The Vampire Chronicles, The Lives of the Mayfair Witches, and The Immortal Universe from AMC and AMC+.
You are watching or listening to Articulate Coven. The Articulate Coven is the unofficial fan podcast and community for Anne Rice's Immortal Universe, but we do all sorts of stuff. Like tonight, we're going to talk about Death Becomes Her. We are your hosts. I'm Joel.
I'm Ashley.
And we are the Articulate Coven. Hi, everybody.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all, indeed, Ashley. I'm in Dolly's backyard. I saw Dolly today, you know. Not in person, I will admit. I saw a lovely statue of her. I had never seen it before, but my mom took me downtown to Sevierville or Siverville. I'm not sure how you pronounce the town, honestly, but
Lord only knows. Whatever you think, it's probably the opposite.
In case you are not a Dolly Parton fan or you don't know all of the minutia of her life, and I'd heard the story before, but my mom reminded me of it today. They put the statue of her up years and years ago because she's obviously been a huge star since at least the late 70s. And I mean, really, she's been a star since the 60s, but she's been a huge star since the late 70s, not just country music, but crossed into mainstream success. And then also, of course, had a film career. Mm-hmm. So, and just, she's also one of the best human beings ever.
Just the fucking best.
Right? They made this beautiful statue of her as a very young singer-songwriter, and it's on the courthouse square in her hometown.
Love it.
And apparently, unbeknownst to Dolly for years and years, her brothers and sisters eventually told her this, but her dad would sneak downtown in the middle of the night every now and again and clean it because he didn't want the bird poop on his Dolly.
That's so fucking sweet. I could
die.
Right?
Isn't that just adorable? So
Dolly's
anyway, it is a lovely statue. She is the best.
And if you have kids and young children, young ones, and you're not enrolled in her imagination library, you should get on that. Dolly provides a free book every month to children up to the age of 5, I think. Is that what
I think it cuts off at 5. But so one of my nephews was not the state that he was living in at the time when he was eligible to apply did not have the program, and so he didn't do it. But one of my nephews is still in it currently and getting books on a regular basis.
It's the best.
Anyway, I am in Tennessee. My mom and I are on this little road trip. We saw some family in Alabama, and then we've spent the last several days in the mountains of Tennessee. It's like one of her favorite places. It was one of my dad's favorite places. They love to come and vacation, and this would have been, March 13th would have been my dad's birthday. So just a couple of days ago, as you and I record it, he's been dead 3 years now, but mom was going to celebrate him. My wife and the daughters were out of town for spring break for a beach trip. And I think also the fact that I recently had a seizure led into this too. My mother and my wife
need to
were both
relax
like,
a little.
Maybe you should be somewhere else with guidance and oversight from a human being that is, not one of our children. Anyway, we ended up on this road trip together, and it's been so much fun. I know I am blessed that not everyone has a relationship with their parent or parents that is healthy or happy,
right,
or anywhere near that. But like, if you do, and you can find a way to spend some time alone with that parent that you do have a fairly healthy relationship with, now that you're in your 40s, it's really special. It's very cool the way that, like, she doesn't have to worry about parenting me anymore at this point, right?
Right.
There's more of a, it's not peer relationship still, but anyway, also this person is someone who has known me my entire life. So there are aspects of me that she understands better than anybody else possibly could. And likewise, I've seen her grow and mature, and now she's in a cool stage of her life, enjoying retirement. Anyway, if you get a chance to do that, go on a road trip with your mama or your daddy or both. Okay, let's talk about this movie. So here's why we're doing this, folks. And in case you didn't see the announcement, that means that you're not on our Patreon. You can be a free member, by the way. Join on Patreon, and you can see announcements from me all the time. Well, that's the way, seriously. So like in the world of algorithms, right? Like I don't know necessarily that Facebook will show you my post or that Instagram or TikTok or anything. But if you're a Patreon member, even at the free level, and we make an announcement post like a schedule change, or when we are saying, hey, here's submissions for what's coming next to tell us what you'd like to do, any of those sorts of things, you'll literally get an email if you're a Patreon member. So unless you turn that off. So we announced, hey, I'm on the road, and I did not do my homework yet. I had not read enough of Merrick for us to do that first section, very honestly. And then I was like, well, let's just do the movie nights. But I looked at all the movies, all our upcoming movies. I'm very sorry for this, you all.
Sorry, guys.
They're not available for streaming currently. Like, I guess, honestly, when I was thinking about that movie list, it was still the leftovers of the Halloween season. And so all those movies are around. We're going to talk about Nosferatu soon, and both of those are available on Peacock, I'll say. So go check those out quickly. I think Poor Things is on Hulu or Max, one or the other.
Yeah, it's on something.
But we're going to do Dracula's Daughter is one of the movies we're going to do. It's only available for rent right now or purchase. And what was the other one? The Witch is also only available for rent or purchase. So we might honestly juggle those around to see if we can wait a little longer and some of them come back up on streaming. I really hate to make you people pay for something extra just to hang out with us. So that's the reason we're doing this, honestly. You can't just run
down to the Blockbuster.
I mean, genuine. I even thought, okay, I'll cheat sometimes and go rent the DVD or the Blu-ray from the library, but I'm in Tennessee and I don't have a library card here. So
that's right. That's right.
I also don't have a Blu-ray player here, but that's neither
here nor there.
If you are watching this and you haven't watched the movie recently, Death Becomes Her is available for streaming right now on Peacock. So go check that out. And kudos to Peacock, I want to say here too. I was thinking about it last night. They do a very good job, I feel like, with movies as an ad-supported service. If you're on that tier anyway, they did it was like 190-second ad break at the beginning and then one in the middle, and that's the only interruption you get. That's fine, honestly. That's doable.
Look, listen, I can live with it. We're living with much worse. I can live with some ad interruptions occasionally.
Ain't that the truth?
Oh, Lord. Y'all, also, if you haven't watched this movie in a long time, it's batshit crazy. Like, I'm shocked by how much I remember about this batshit crazy movie, because I really haven't rewatched it in years and years. Like, I probably haven't watched this since the 90s. I for sure haven't watched this since the 90s. And it is
I don't know when I watched it the last time. It is bizarre. It is a very singular sort of film. And I don't know. It does all sorts of crazy things. First of all, I want you to tell me, Ashley, what was your experience with this film? When did you watch it the first time, and what did you think of it way back when?
So I remember watching this pretty soon after it came out. Didn't see it in the theater. I either saw it on a Blockbuster video night or like on HBO or something. And I fucking loved it. I thought it was so cool. The special effects are just incredible and mind-blowing. Plus, these women are so gorgeous in this. Like, they're so beautiful and also hilarious and like violent. It's so funny. And Goldie Hawn, I was really into Goldie Hawn because I watched all those like shitty 80s movies that she did, like Overboard and Bird on the Wire and shit like that, So like, I loved Goldie Hawn, and we were big Goldie Hawn fans in my house. So she was really on my radar. This is probably the first thing I really remember seeing Meryl Streep in, though. Like, I'd maybe seen her in something else before this. But it wasn't anything that like registered in my brain as, boy, that's Meryl Streep. And this is the first thing I remember seeing her in.
So I am fairly certain I saw this movie in the movie theater. My mom would, anything that she felt wasn't going to be very inappropriate that she wanted to go see in the movie theater, I think she would often take me, whether she thought I'd really dig it or not. First of all, she knew I had pretty advanced cinematic taste, even for a very young age. Like, I liked movies that were over my head. But also, like, anyway, we were just a movie-going family. I feel fairly certain we saw this in the movie theater together. If we didn't, though, you're absolutely right, and it was one of those blockbuster nights. It was like maybe we were at my aunt's house or something, and we rented it. Or anyway, I saw this very early on for sure, and I am 99% positive that you're right for me as well, that this was my first Meryl Streep film, which is crazy in retrospect because, I mean, I think part of the reason why this movie works so well is that the three of these leads are like gigantic stars on their own at this moment.
Right. Crazy big. Yeah. Big.
I
like
mean,
Goldie Hawn's a big enough star that like she's on like my radar as a child. You know what I mean?
Well,
and of course, Bruce Willis. We've seen Die Hard's Out. You know, like.
And he had already had Moonlighting at that point.
Right,
I think by 92 he may have even made Hudson Hawk, which was a bomb, but like it was a big deal that the movie was literally just hung on how cool Bruce Willis is.
Right.
You know, so he was definitely an A-lister at this point, and he was, I think, by far the smallest star of the three of them at the point. Goldie Hawn has been a big star since the 60s, guys. Like, you don't think about it, but like she was a child when she was on Laugh-In. And she was already, first of all, like spring off the screen gorgeous. I mean, since she's ever been on camera.
Like a fucking ray of sunshine. She is just
and
like.
so funny. Like her comedic timing is unbelievable. Yes.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were able to bring those three leads together, and then here's the other two parts of this A-team, I feel like. Robert Zemeckis as director, which it's like, all right, let's talk a little bit about Robert Zemeckis.
He's made so many movies I love so much.
Romancing the Stone, the Back to the Future trilogy, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. This movie to me weirdly, this movie weirdly has like Who Framed Roger Rabbit vibes to me. Like
it's very much got some Looney Tunes violence, yes.
Like in just like it's not even just that, it's like kind of that kind of dark edge that Roger Rabbit had that was like dangerous, even though this was like in a world where it's cartoons and shit, but like there was the dip and things were really, and fucking Christopher Lloyd is the scariest shit I've ever seen in my life in that movie. You know what I mean? And so this movie to me has like, I don't know if just since childhood I've kind of associated those two, but this movie kind of has that kind of vibe to me.
But guys, he made Contact, he made Castaway, he made Flight, he made Allied, he made The Polar Express, The Christmas Carol that's got Jim Carrey in it, Beowulf. He did that Welcome to Morrowind movie where that's the one with what's his name? The guy from The Office. Steve Carell has the imaginary world that he builds or whatever, you know? I think Robert Zemeckis, didn't he just do the new movie with Tom Hanks where it's all filmed from one camera angle?
I think
that might have been Robert Zemeckis.
I believe so.
Anyway, here's what I want to say about him, and I'm going to forget it later, but this goes for the whole film because you're right earlier when you mentioned the special effects. Robert Zemeckis is very commonly known, I think, for interesting advances in special effect technology. Like, in particular, think about the run that he made with Polar Express and Christmas Carol and Beowulf. Those are like that new form of image capture or whatever, where he's filming them and then they're like animated over on top of that, right?
And even if you think about like more like what mainstream but like beloved films like Forrest Gump, there is a ton of crazy technology they used in that to put him into all of those moments in time and things like that.
And to take Lieutenant Dan's legs.
Yeah.
Like there's blue screen and whatever. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is probably the best example though, because there's so much like cell animation dropped in on top of live action, which I don't think any film's ever done it better than that. And if you go watch the behind the scenes, the reason is because they were doing so much of it live. Everything that Roger does was done live on set. And then literally they just put the cartoon character over the mechanisms that they were using to spray the water or pull the tie or whatever it is that Roger's interacting with.
Brilliant.
That's just also, and this is the broader point that I wanted to make. so many directors, I think, James Cameron, for instance, is often caught up on like advances in technology. I think Robert Zemeckis does a better job, though, of only using that. Like the reason he came up with the advancement for technology is because he had an idea for a story that effectively couldn't be told without it.
It's not masturbatory. It's in the service of storytelling.
It's the opposite of that, genuinely. Like, and it's weird to watch, and sometimes it doesn't work. I know lots of people don't care for his painted over whatever that's called, the Polar Express style films. I don't really love that style of animation either, but you cannot deny the unique artistic vision and the fact that once he creates these tools, again, a whole generation is behind him watching, going, oh, I've got a story to tell with that, actually, So this is the guy at the top of this thing. But then also, and this is the other point that I want to talk, because the rest of this is just going to be about those three actors, I can promise you.
Yeah, 100%. Because it's just... And Isabella Rossellini's gorgeous body.
Okay. Oh, my God. Alan Silvestri, though. I want to talk about him first.
Oh, my God.
The composer.
The music in this is fantastic. Right off the bat. Like, the score is...
The first thing.
Fucking right off the bat, you're like, oh, shit. I forgot how good this score
is.
Yeah, and I was like, and I know this composer... Who is this? And I looked it up and I was like, of course it is.
So basically all of those movies that we mentioned earlier from Robert Zemeckis, Alan Silvestri did the scores, but he also did like What Lies Beneath from 2000, which is a great score for like an interesting thriller.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Oh, he did The Abyss and Predator.
Yeah.
God, that Predator score is crazy too.
It's great. And The Abyss is so fucking fantastic.
He's also done the Avengers theme. So he did all of the Avengers movies so far for the MCU. He did some other MCU movies too, but Alan Silvestri is one of those guys. Like, I know we all praise John Williams, but like there are others.
There's others. Yeah. We've been very blessed during our lifetime for some really incredible cinematic composers.
All right. So let's just bow down and talk for a little while. Ashley, my first three notes are Goldie motherfucking Hawn, Meryl motherfucking Streep, Bruce motherfucking Willis. Let's start with Goldie. I think, like we mentioned earlier, she is the longest star. What's your first exposure to Goldie? You said at this point you already knew she was a star.
So my dad was a huge fan of Laugh-In. So anytime we caught Laugh-In on a repeat or something, it would be on for sure. So I definitely saw Goldie in some Laugh-In episodes. And then we because my parents were fans and these were the movies that were out and fun. We had seen Overboard. Private Benjamin was always on. Private Benjamin was on like TBS all the fucking time. You could almost always watch Private Benjamin on something. So yeah, so I had seen a lot of her movies, just like, and Overboard was like on repeat at our house. It's such a trash movie, but it's so funny. It does not hold up well. It's really bad and ridiculous, but God, it's fun.
They remade it recently, didn't they?
I know, and I
think they changed the title.
They had the audacity to remake it because it's all about a woman who falls overboard, a boat, loses her memory, and a guy who hates her takes advantage of that, tricks her into being his wife.
I could be wrong, but some part of me thinks in the remake maybe the man is the one that gets hijacked. Yeah, I can't remember.
I think they ginger swapped it, and guess what? That doesn't make it okay.
It's still wrong, guys. Consent.
It's
Consent
still
is
creepy.
key.
It's still real creepy. But yeah, so I had watched a ton of her movies.
So I already had two, I think. I don't believe that I had seen Private Benjamin actually by the time I saw this, but I had been watching Laugh-In again, like you say, anytime it was on television, and it was on a lot. I think it ran regularly on like Nick at Night, maybe.
Yeah,
but
something.
I watched a lot of Goldie in that. I was a huge Laugh-In fan. And I was also like, honestly, any like variety show from the 60s and 70s, I'm probably going to be down with. But the other big thing that I remember her from before this was Bird on a Wire in 1990.
Yes.
We had seen Bird on a Wire in the movie theater with her and Mel Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another great, I haven't seen it.
We haven't watched it. in
30 years.
But at the time, that was a
It
very
was real
fun
good.
film.
Yeah.
You know, at the time, Mel Gibson was a fucking superstar, and he hadn't called anyone sugar tits that we knew of yet.
I mean, he probably had in retrospect. They just
I'm
didn't
sure
report it
he
back then,
had.
right? But like, man, I think about Mel was probably my favorite actor for all of the 90s. And
Yeah.
like the more that I watched of his work, the more I was like, oh, this dude can do anything.
Yeah, same.
But the fact that you put the two of them together and their timing and their chemistry was great in that movie too. But then
And they're both gorgeous. They're both hot.
Yes.
Like they're both like gorgeous.
That this same summer of Death Becomes Her, though, or this same year as Death Becomes Her, she also did House Sitter with Steve Martin. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw that one in the movie theater too, and like, I was already a Steve Martin fan because of The Jerk, and I'd seen like some early Saturday Night Live, I think,
God,
of reruns,
yes.
you know, but it was like.
And had Dirty Rotten Scoundrels come out yet?
Yes, I think so. That was another one that I loved from day one. But the two of them, anyway, she was living in this echelon of comedic, but also supermodel gorgeous, in my opinion. But the thing with Goldie is when even though she looks literally like this goddess, she also somehow looks like the girl next door. I guess it's
100%.
like
And what's like the blonde hair, blue eyed, sweet cheeks. She's just always smiling.
Yes. I guess it's like what's the one with the character from Gilligan's Island? There's Ginger is the movie star, right? Marianne. Okay, she's a Marianne, right? Meryl Streep in this movie, meanwhile, is she is a Ginger.
Ginger alert. Ginger alert.
Let's talk about Meryl Streep a little bit. You and I both started her here, and like rightfully so. I think for our age, there weren't a lot of movies from her that would have been like. I mean, she did Kramer versus Kramer,
right?
And The Deer Hunter, and Out of Africa.
My father forced me to watch The Deer Hunter, but it was thank Jesus it was after I was older, because that movie is a whole lot.
So listen,
a whole lot to handle. But a lot of her other movies that she had done by this point were, to me, boring. And if they were on, I'd be like, no thanks. I don't need to watch Out of Africa right now.
Yeah. Out of Africa probably would have been the closest to one that I could have gotten into by that point. But it was not for me in 85. And it definitely was not for me by 1990 either, or 92. The first thing that I really loved her in, other than this, and I'm looking through this list, I was big into, and it's ridiculous in retrospect because I was, I think, 13 or maybe 14 when it came out, The Bridges of Madison County. Listen.
Nothing.
She and Clint are hot in that. I don't.
No one knows the yearning of a middle-aged woman like 13-year-old Joel.
13-year-old Joel. You got to remember, like 13 is when I had really become an Anne Rice expert.
Right.
I had begun to read her erotic fiction, I think, already at that point too. So
there's been an awakening.
Yeah. I understood the longing of Meryl there, lost in the countryside, when Clint came to town. I mean, again, you want to talk about a smoke show, though.
Oh.
Like, even into his 70s for sure, maybe into his 80s, I think an argument can be made. I think he's past, I've seen him lately, and Clint's no longer a smoke show. But in 95, he was still burning, y'all. Anyway, Meryl Streep has had such an amazing career.
Right.
And like, honestly, it's like sometimes when I think about how amazing it is, it's like, is this karma's way for paying her back for Cazale's early death?
Oh,
the two of them were together when he passed. They were a couple. And
the only reason I think that's one of the only reasons she took the role in The Deer Hunter too, was
because she just needed to be with him.
It was kind of a very basic, like, girlfriend of one of the main characters kind of role, not like super, like kind of a basic role for a movie like that had so much depth and craziness with the characters. But yeah, she took that so she could work with him and be around and be with him if he needed her. Ugh, so sad.
I mean, and again, like, if you don't know about John Cazale. I wanted to say Jim Cazale.
Yeah.
I swear I say Jim Caviezel sometimes when I mean John Cazale, and that is
not
a
right.
comparison to
not
make.
The same. Not the same.
No.
Not the same.
But if you don't, he only made, I think, 5 films. All 5 of them were nominated for Best Picture. He's amazing in each one. It's like Godfather, Godfather Part 2, Dog Day Afternoon, The Conversation, and The Deer Hunter. I think that's the only films he ever made. Oh. And he is knockout in every single one of them.
Well, okay, but Joel, so Meryl separated from her husband, like in 2017, that came out recently that she's been separated from her husband. Oh, and we've been seeing her running around with who? Martin fucking Short. What?
Yes. I think that's
adorable.
First of all, I mean, my mother is a widow and she's far too young to be. And she and I have talked many times about, is she ready to date again? And does she want to? And how would everybody feel about, not that it's any of our friggin' business anyway, but as for me, I am fine with it. And I feel the same way about my own wife. And I hope she would feel the same way about me. I don't know that I would find a relationship in my 70s or 80s or whatever if my wife went away. But I might. And if that's what life leads you to and you find somebody that you can enjoy spending your time with, like, hurrah and huzzah, I say.
Yeah.
Also, they're both, again, just wonderful human beings, incredibly talented in their own. Martin Short is so underappreciated generally. He's not in this movie, so we got to stop praising people who aren't.
We need to stop talking about Martin Short.
John Cazale's not in it either. Bruce Willis is.
Steve Martin's the reason why I got all fucking off the rails. Jesus.
Let's talk about Bruce Willis for a second.
Back on track. Bruce Willis.
So where did you see him first? Was it Die Hard or Moonlighting?
Probably. Almost certainly Die Hard.
Okay.
Almost certain. Well, I guess Moonlighting was on at the house. Like, I just didn't really watch it.
It wasn't for it. Well, it went from 85 to 89, so we were really too young to get it even by the end of it.
Yeah.
I remember my parents really liking it. I don't know if I ever saw a single episode when it was running first time, but I knew that he was a big star and had just been getting hotter and hotter. And then we literally, the Die Hard franchise was such a big deal in our family.
Oh God.
We bought a new television and VCR one time because we rented Die Hard 2 to watch together. And Die Hard 2, I don't know if you've seen it lately, the vast majority of the film is shot at night. It's a very dark film. And our television had faded so much over the years that we couldn't make the action out. And Dad was like,
it's too dark and snowy. God damn it.
We got to go to Basic. I mean, like Basic Best Buy or whatever we went to.
Oh, I love it.
And he bought a new TV and a new VCR. They looked fantastic when we finally got to see Die Hard 2. Die Hard 3, Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Love it.
Was the first R-rated film that I ever saw in the theater. I told my mother I was going to see, I believe, an Ernest movie. Our little theater was running like 3 things at the same time, and I'm fairly certain one of them was an Ernest movie. She dropped me off to go to the movie theater, and here's what a good kid I was at the time anyway. She picks me up from the movie theater, and we did not make it out of the parking lot before I had to admit to her. I was like, so I didn't go see the movie that I told you I was going to go see. She said, oh, really? And she knew then, obviously, which one I had gone to see. I said, I went to see the new Die Hard movie. She goes, well, how was it? I was like, oh, you and Dad are really going to like it. It's so good. The black guy in it is so funny. I had never seen Sam Jackson before that. And like that wrecked my whole world too. So, okay, but Bruce Willis does Moonlighting. He does the Die Hard franchise. He's in The Last Boy Scout, which is solid. Pulp Fiction, which he's amazing in. 12 Monkeys, he's really good in.
Yeah.
The Fifth Element. Armageddon, which was the biggest movie in the universe at the time, And then to me, the one that like showed that there was something else more than this action star like he's more than a Seagal or a Stallone or whatever. Well, maybe not a Stallone because people underplay Stallone. I don't want to take Sly's got all sorts of layers.
Can't take Rocky away from him.
Exactly. But he makes The Sixth Sense in 1999. And it's like
so good.
He's so understated in that movie. And he's so, I don't know. To me, that was the kind of movie that like a Jack Nicholson would have made 15 years before, 20 years before, right?
It was so good. Love that film.
Wonderful. But then he's great comedically too. He does the whole 9 yards and the whole 10 yards. He's in Sin City and he's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Two movies that I think a lot of people have not seen. If you haven't seen Red, the original one at least, Red 2 is okay, I think, but the first one is great.
Red is so fun. It's that cast. Oh, Jesus. You want to talk about a stacked ass cast.
Right? It's like, it's Bruce Willis and every award winner from the last 10 years, basically.
I mean, my God, it's so fantastic.
And then Looper from 2012. First of all, I'm a huge Rian Johnson fan, and that's a Rian Johnson movie. But also, who plays the other side of that role? It's Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
So this is a time travel movie. Looper is a time travel movie, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays a young Bruce Willis. And
that's
it is
right.
Really, really. There's some cool story elements. But the two of them are very good in it. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt does, I think, an amazing job of not just an impression, but literally like making Bruce Willis choices. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I love
Of course,
that.
Bruce Willis was diagnosed, and not just diagnosed recently, but it came out recently. They announced it, I think, in 2022, that he has aphasia, which is a frontotemporal dementia. I want to own up in a little mea culpa myself. I mean, not like anybody cares about my opinion, but I had told people how disappointed I had been in Bruce Willis's choices. I don't know, probably the last 5 years. He'd made a lot of crap films. And I mean, had made a lot of them. It seemed like he was, and also the word had come out that he was like, I'll be on set for one day and it's $1 million per day and, you know, blah, 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 whatever. And it just seemed like, okay, he's completely given up on the artistry of filmmaking and he's just cashing checks. What we did not know is he knew and his family knew that his time was running out to make any money for his family. And he was literally preparing for their legacy. And so that they and he were protected in the end of this disease that he's suffering from now. It's a shame, man.
Yeah,
it's a genuine shame. I mean, and I think, I don't know, Bruce Willis is a fairly conservative guy. I don't know that he and I would be bestest buddies or anything, but I have always been a big fan of his work, and I think he has genuinely done some amazing work. This film is one of them. And yeah, I'm sad that we won't see any more work from him, and I'm genuinely sad that I felt shitty towards him because he was trying to earn for his family. So when you see choices like that from actors in the future, not that they all have aphasia, but like they're all doing it for a reason, and maybe you don't know all the reasons. Some of them are Uncle Sam. Some of them are trying to pay the piper.
Yeah, so some of it might be Wesley trying to get out of trouble. Look, we're not judging.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, let's get into the story. It's cool the way that they lay it out. The one thing that I had forgotten, Ashley, is exactly how many time periods the movie takes place in.
It does go through a lot of time. This is like the most fucked up version of Beaches. That's what I was thinking. I was like, boy, this is like...
Boy, you want to talk about how inappropriate it was for me to be a big fan of Bridges of Madison County in 95. Fairly inappropriate for me to be a huge fan of Beaches in 89 or whatever,
whenever that came out. Yeah.
That was not a movie made for 8-year-old Joel, but I was into it.
We were all watching it though, and my mother calls it out. Like, we're watching it. I remember distinctly watching that movie, and she goes, we're like 15 minutes into it. 15 fucking minutes into it. And this woman says, oh, she's going to die and leave that baby to Bette Midler. I was like, there's not even a baby. What are you talking? They're kids. What are you talking about? 15 minutes into it. And then we all had to watch it slow-mo go down.
That's, again, we're not watching Beaches, but Beaches is the one that opens with Under the Boardwalk, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I got to go watch Beaches again. Y'all, I genuinely should have known more about myself when I was that big a fan of Bette Midler 40 years ago. Genuinely, we should. Anyway, okay, Here we go. Broadway, 1978. Picture it.
Broadway, 1978. And this is the funniest shit. People just getting up and leaving the show.
I love, though, that in literally one scene, Zemeckis makes it so clear what movie we're watching. So it's like a way big, over-the-top musical number. but the audience knows it's over the top and corny, and she's past her prime, and they're bailing, and we're seeing all of that play out. The song itself is very meta and
It's
referential,
so obnoxious,
and you're like,
yeah.
oh, okay, all right. I'm getting 7 layers of jokes here, even from moment one. My favorite line from the song is, "I see me, and I like what I see."
It's so ridiculous. It does seem like something that really should be on TikTok. Like, so this song should have made the rounds, and someone should be using this on TikTok for sure.
So how startling is it, though, how hard they have to work to make Goldie Hawn look plain in this opening scene?
Hilarious. So hilarious.
She's wearing a wig.
And it's mousy and kind of like curly hair that's been brushed out, you know, like not blown out, but brushed out.
It's so bad.
Yeah. And he's no prize. Like Bruce Willis is no prize in this either.
I'd forgotten he's so bald already. Mm-hmm. And like, it's funny because in retrospect, for most of his career, Bruce Willis was effectively bald and had very thinning hair and like often played with this same hairstyle. But he didn't look like that in 92, guys.
Right. It's bizarre. It's a bizarre thing to see. Your brain wants to fight it. You're like, what is that little swoop you have going on there?
But I love, though, and again, like immediately available, what this story is going to be. It's easy for us to read because he jumps up when the number's over, clapping furiously. Oh, she's amazing.
Well, she's
amazing.
So talented.
Yeah. Okay. There's an interesting moment with Meryl. We cut to her dressing room after the show, and her dresser comes in and says they're waiting to get in. So she knows that her friend is coming to see her, and she knows that she's got a man with them. Meryl practices her surprised face. She does it twice, and then she's like, "Okay, send them in."
Okay, send them in. And she's posing like she's like got her tits out and got her my husband's died like her lingerie on. It's so funny.
Oh, speaking of very ample bosoms, I forgot there's a moment in the song she sings at one point, "What am I made of?" And she literally motions like this as she says it. And I was like, okay. I know exactly who this woman is. Actually, I might have dated her briefly in high school.
Excuse me.
So after the scene in the dressing room, almost immediately we realize, I mean, even in the dressing room, it's obvious that she's going to steal this man from Goldie if she can.
Right.
But then she follows up by visiting him at his office. And then suddenly they're having an argument about her. Goldie says, "I just had to see if you could pass the Madeline Ashton test."
Yes. So this happens to her a lot.
And she says then, she says it's happened already several times already. I think later she names 4 different men at least. So Bruce is sitting beside her on the couch and says, "I have absolutely no interest in Madeline Ashton." Quick cut to Madeline Ashton and Bruce Willis's character Ernest walking down the aisle together. Yep. And then we see Goldie coming down from the balcony, and she's twisting the handkerchief so hard that her hands bleed.
That is a really intense tick, by the way. Like, I was like, oh, Jesus. I did not remember that.
Okay, so one of the things that I didn't remember, and in retrospect, I wonder, like, did I think that he was always a mortician, I guess? I had forgotten that he had been
that's the whole reason why Meryl wants him.
He's a plastic surgeon.
He's the most brilliant plastic surgeon in town.
It's interesting, too. Again, like, we didn't think this watching it as 9-year-olds or whatever, or 10-year-olds, but now it's like layers of shit with this thing from Zemeckis, because he's like, both of these characters are obsessed with youth and beauty, as well as their personal competition with each other.
Right.
But then Bruce Willis, who isn't exactly obsessed with youth and beauty, at least not on the surface. However, his career is a plastic surgeon, and he clearly is drawn away from Goldie Hawn by the flashier Madeline, and also the way that it plays out in those first couple of scenes. Maybe he only hooked up with Goldie Hawn in the first place because he knew they were childhood friends. Like,
well, that would be terrible.
Well, he was like a big Madeline Ashton fan. She says, oh, I didn't know you had a thing for Madeline Ashton. And he goes, well, I wouldn't call it a thing. Oh, maybe it's a thing, or whatever. Like, the way that he's responded to her, it made me think, maybe that's what Zemeckis is implying. But anyway, I think the implication there, and several times later in the movie when Ernest makes choices, it feels like his natural inclination is actually a little shallower than what he ends up becoming in the film. Right?
Oh, 100%. Like let's not, just because he maybe makes one good decision in the movie doesn't mean that he's like a good guy.
So we get our first cut here 7 years later. So this would be like 1985. And so they had to make her ugly in the beginning. Now they've supersized Goldie.
Yes.
To show us that she's not as hot as Madeline. And I love the way this scene plays. First of all, there's a million cats in the room, but she's literally being dragged out by the police, and she's still rewinding and rewatching the scene of Madeline being choked in a movie.
It's so funny. She's just like, one more time. She's so unhinged. It's hilarious. It's also just the fuckery of the pressure that women feel to look a certain way, and then that combined with like this is such a revenge story, like, so you're like, you want to give grace because you're like, oh man, it's terrible the way that the society pits women against each other, and society puts pressure on women to look a certain way and act a certain way and be a certain way, and it's such fuckery, and you want to feel a little bad for them, and then they do something and you're just like, oh yeah, you're a fucking twat.
You're both so terrible in this film, and I'm sure they're like eating it up too.
This had to have been a lot of fun to make. I hope this was a lot of fun to make.
Yes, absolutely. So even after that, as she's dragged away, we get another little time cut, although it's not clear exactly how long at first. It's been about 6 months at this point. But we see Elena Reed Hall. She's got a cameo here as the therapist. All right. Immediately, I paused it, and I'm asking my mom, I'm like, okay, where do we know her from? We went back and forth. I felt fairly certain from the beginning. I'm like, she was Gordon's wife on Sesame Street. That's where I know this person. She wasn't. She was Gordon's little sister, though. She played Elena Reed Hall. She played Gordon's little sister, Olivia Robinson. So she comes on to Sesame Street in like 78 or 79, and she was on until I think like 84 or 85. The other thing you may have seen her in is she was Rose Lee Holloway in 227. She was the landlady of the building that they all lived in. She owned the building. Yeah. She's great as the therapist, by the way. She goes, 6 months of therapy, and we are still talking about Madeline Ashton. She gives Goldie so much hell. Inadvertently, though, giving Goldie her plan that brings her back to recovery through a mission of revenge.
Nothing gets a gal by like the need for revenge.
Okay, here is one of my unanswered questions in the movie. So right after that moment, we get another 7-year jump. So we're 1992 now. The rest of the movie is taking place as the movie is coming out, basically. My question is, we know that Goldie, by the point of this next jump in time, has had the potion. We don't know exactly when. Did Goldie become skinny and youthful and beautiful when she took the potion? Or did she go on some sort of life-changing mission to become skinny and in better shape first and then drink the potion? Would the potion have been an Ozempic for her, I guess is what I'm asking.
I want to say, I hope that's what she did. I hope she didn't put all that effort in when you can just take a potion and does it.
So when we see Meryl take it later, we watch her take it. That's the only time that we actually see its effects like happening in real time.
In real time, yeah.
Her butt literally lifts. Her bosom inflates. But
I got really pumped about that.
They don't get bigger than they were, right?
No.
They just go back to where they were.
Their youthful appearance. I was like, oh, could I get my 90s boobs back? My late 90s, early 2000 boobs back? That'd be swell. That'd be great.
I gotta tell you, I wouldn't mind having my late 90s boobs back too, Ashley, if I'm being perfectly honest.
If I'm being really honest. They were perky.
I wouldn't mind having your 90s boobs back if I'm being perfectly honest either.
You know what?
Okay. When we join Meryl and Bruce here, we realize pretty quickly things have gone okay for Meryl's character, for Madeline, but things have not gone well for Ernest.
No.
Now, first of all, when I say they've gone well for her, she's not living a fun life at this moment. She's basically doing the hyperbaric chamber thing that Michael Jackson was supposedly doing. She's got treatments on her eyes and on her face, and she's in traction and sleep, and
I mean,
the lights have to, the whole 9 yards.
I can barely remember to take my makeup off at the end of the day because I'm such a shitty person. I cannot imagine putting this much effort into looking young.
I can't either, really. I mean, and obviously you and I, neither one is our livelihood based on our, skin care regimen, right?
Right.
But it's like,
they're fine.
Let's use Meryl Streep though as an example. Meryl Streep, I mean, I'm sure she's had work done because probably anybody in that business has a little work done, but she has aged fairly naturally, it seems, from the outside, appropriately, right? And yet that has not limited her. I always think as a man, there is a time when I will get to play Tevye, or if I was a slightly different build, maybe a Shylock, or, I don't know, there's Macbeth eventually, right? There are roles at every age. There is a time and a season.
Yeah, men
and
are
it
allowed
just means
to be
different
interesting
stories.
in all of their
No,
ages.
but I think, well, okay, you're right. Women are not always. But what I'm saying is, especially once you're at the level of stardom that they are, you can also work as a producer, so you can tell some of your own stories, right? And you can control the narratives that are happening. And there are interesting stories of humanity at all of those time periods. So even in the creative industry, I think we see examples, even of women who do this in a fairly natural way and are still very successful at it.
Right, but there still
Madeline didn't have to go this way. We understand why she did. She didn't have to go this way.
I saw a really interesting interview with Meryl Streep the other day, though, where she was talking about, she was doing press for Into the Woods, and they were like, this is your first witch that you've ever played. And she's like, it's so interesting. The year I turned 40, I got 3 scripts sent to me, all witches. And I turned them all down because I wasn't ready to be at the point in my career where all I'm allowed to do is play a witch, So like, I mean, that pressure and stress is there for everyone, for every woman. I mean, in the business, it doesn't matter who you are.
I wonder if she was up for Witches of Eastwick.
I bet she was up for, wouldn't surprise me if she was up for was it The Witches? That one about that Angelica Houston did?
Yes. God, Angelica Houston's so good in that too.
She just ate up that film.
But yeah, that could have been a Meryl role for sure. I could see her though opposite Jack in Witches of Eastwick. That's an interesting, again, that.
But
that's not your traditional ugly nose.
Those are sexy witches. I bet she would have turned that down.
Good
but
call.
It's like it's playing the like the scary haggy witch.
Huh.
Anyway, I recently saw that, so it was really fresh in my mind going into this movie, knowing that all the the plot devices of this anti-aging and this magic potion that gets to take you back to the best version physically of yourself. It doesn't make you a good version of yourself at all as a person.
Yes, 100%. Okay, so Bruce, meanwhile, and this is the note that I wrote. Bruce is a quote unquote sleep on the floor where you fell down drunk alcoholic.
Not great.
I mean, we know exactly what kind of guy he is at this moment in life. He's now, by the way, working as a mortician to the stars, which again, I bet it pays very, very well. And later we see more than one person thank him for his excellent artistry. Yeah. But it's clearly not what he wants to be doing, and he's clearly not fulfilled by it anymore. So like Madeline has ruined his life, at least, or his choice to run away from Helen has ruined his life. So they're invited to Helen's book party. She's got a book signing, this new book that she's got coming out. And of course, Madeline would never refuse an opening. As we later hear, Madeline would go to the opening of an envelope.
Love it.
That is a great cut down. but Madeline rushes to the spa where we find out, I believe they said plasma separation was the treatment that she was trying to get.
So crazy. They're like, you just had it 3 weeks ago. You can't have it again.
Here's what's funny though, is like, I think 30 years ago, maybe I'm wrong, I think that was literally just like a made up thing.
Oh, I'm sure.
I immediately thought of the guy, and I can't think of the guy's name, but there's the guy that's in his 50s or whatever, who is doing the plasma replacement. Like, he's giving his plasma to his father, and he's getting the plasma from his 20-year-old son, and they do these things like on a regular basis. They do the transfers.
Why is that creepy? That's creepy.
I mean, it's literally like a Lady Bathory or whatever, bathing in the blood of infants, sort of thing, right?
Gross.
Yeah, I mean, this is the guy that says he's going to be the first person to live forever, though. Like, he's the one that does all the other gene therapies and whatever. I can't remember. They made a documentary about him, I think, on Max recently. But that's what this immediately made me think of. And even this salon who does the shady treatments is like, we can't do it so soon. You 3 weeks ago. No, please.
You're supposed to wait 6 months between them. She's like, it was almost that long.
So, but I love, though, while they're having this argument, this character appears behind her on the couch as if he was always in the room. He's played by Ian Ogilvy. The character's name is Chagall in the film. And he's just, boom, he's there. He seems to run the spa, maybe, and he shoos the technician away and says, no, I heard you mentioned that money is no object. Was this a joke? And she's like, no, money means nothing to me. And he goes, very interesting. Okay. He refers Madeline to a woman named Leela von Rumen. She takes clients day and night, go directly there. Madeline promptly tears up the card and calls him a weirdo. And that's all that's going to happen with that, right? That'll never come back to play in the
That's
movie.
not going to be important.
Okay. We have not seen, at this point, we have actually not seen Madeline and Ernest together in this modern day setting until they're in the car on the way to the party. And she says, could you just not breathe? Which he is breathing heavily through his mouth, but still.
It's the distaste. She's like, literally the sound of you existing is offensive to me.
I don't know about you, Ashley, but more than once as a young child, I would be on a road trip with my family, including my younger sister, Jenna. She is just shy of 3 years younger than me fully. And more than once, either she or I, and I think it was more often she than I, would report to our parents, she's breathing on me. He's breathing on me. He's breathing on me.
Yep.
He's in my space. This is the way that they're responding to each other.
Don't touch me.
Yeah. This is the way that the marriage has gone at this point, Ashley. It ain't healthy, folks.
No,
it gets to this
when
point.
You start acting like siblings in the backseat of the car, you probably shouldn't be married anymore.
So this is one of those moments. Ernest immediately goes to the bar at the party, and someone sits beside him, recognizes him, starts talking him up, says, "You did such wonderful work on my aunt. Can I ask you what your secret is?" And to which he retorts, "Spray paint." And then begins to go into how the dead tissue can't hold regular makeup. It just won't absorb into the pores properly. And he had a revelation one day, spray paint. The woman is appalled, obviously, at the idea that her aunt was spray painted in the casket.
Graffiti painted into the casket.
And screws off. So now he's alone at the bar again. Okay. So they see from a distance a woman that they think is Helen. And she says, "Oh, Helen managed to lose a few pounds," at which point this person steps aside and we see unveiled Goldie Hawn behind her in this insane little red dress.
This beautiful red dress with her hair like cascading down, gorgeous red locks.
Meryl chokes on herself effectively very quickly. And then it's like 30 seconds later, Helen has separated off Bruce Willis, Ernest, and is like already making the play. I do like, and I know that's the point of this movie, is that it is over the top and soap opera, but it is like, wow, these two women who clearly hate each other are so bald faced about it. Like, Goldie's not making a subtle play here.
No,
she's like, let me slide your man off, actually.
Well, I think probably at this point, why the fuck would she? This woman has
That's
stolen
fair.
Golly knows how many men from her. I'm gonna try to steal this one back just for funsies.
So she's talking up Ernest, and Ernest says, oh, Helen, I've wasted my life. And Goldie's character, Helen, says, no, she wasted you. And again, she makes a good point here. Like, you were a brilliant surgeon, and now you're a mortician. There's an interesting thing here where, again, it's 2 times. We see Goldie say to both Meryl and Bruce, I have never blamed you.
Yes.
Separating them out, turning them against each other already. Okay. What were you thinking? Do you remember? What were you thinking had Helen done at this point in the film? Like, obviously she's made this massive turnaround in life.
But yeah, I don't think at this point I thought there was a magic potion involved. I mean, I was just like, I mean, she just
like, she hated that woman so much she lost 400 pounds or whatever.
She just hated herself back into loving herself, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you just thought you just knew it was an incredible transformation. That's all,
So Madeline is so upset, and she flips out about it. She runs away to her boy toy, except her boy toy is not alone.
It's busy.
And so she's literally, there's a very funny moment. She's out of his apartment, and they're like having this fight on the steps or whatever. And just as it's really over, he says, someone told me we look ridiculous together. How do you think that made me feel? You never think of my feelings. Cue the rain, and it literally starts pouring on top of her.
So fucking funny. Like, oh, the comedic timing of this entire movie is so perfect and brilliant.
So she has an existential dilemma in the middle of traffic and pulls out her purse and all of her tonics and serums and makeups and everything. And she finally finds the 2 pieces of the card. It's got a name on it. I'm assuming it's an address because she knows where to go now. And she shows up at Isabella Rossellini's castle, I guess you would say. Fabio answers the door, basically.
Her den of sin, it feels like.
She's got like 3 or 4 different dudes that we see at different points in the movie, and they're all
hilariously uniformed. Like, can you imagine that be your work uniform?
They've all got like almost a heavyweight belt in the middle of their outfit. It's insane.
Like, it's the red shirt that you have to wear at Target. This is your job uniform. Every day you put this on and you drive to work.
So the castle that she lives in is crazy looking from the outside, which does come back to play later, actually. Mm-hmm. We get more of this castle. We hear that she's expecting Madeline. Well, that's strange because I didn't know that I was coming. The house is crazy awesome generally. There's a bunch of really interesting features here. Seemingly magically trained Dobermans. They come down in the elevator on their own. And
well behaved.
Yeah. So the first thing that we hear from Isabella Rossellini is, make some room for my friend, for Christ's sake. But keep your ass handy. She says to her Fabio. She's like, I'm going to need you again in a moment, actually.
Yeah. These are not unlike the assistants of the one of the daughters in House of Usher.
Okay. Had you ever seen her in anything before at this point?
Isabella Rossellini? I maybe had seen her in something else. I knew who she was. Like, we always knew who anybody was because anytime they'd pop up on the screen, somebody would be like, oh, that's so-and-so. I think I knew more about her, like that she was Ingrid Bergman's daughter. Like, I knew all that shit.
Yeah, so she's the daughter of Ingrid Bergman, which that would be enough of Hollywood royalty on its own, right? But she's also the daughter of Roberto Rossellini, who is the famous Italian director. So she was a successful Lancome model, and then she established her career in American and European cinema. She's received 2 nominations for Academy Awards, 2 Golden Globe Awards, a British Academy Award, and a Primetime Emmy Award as well. She was in A Matter of Time. The big breakout, I think, and the place where most people even remember her still, well, honestly, I think more mainstream people remember her from this than anything else. But she was in Blue Velvet from David Lynch. Blue Velvet,
which I definitely saw her in, but not I did not see that before this.
And I had forgotten about this, but she's also in the 94 Wyatt Earp movie. She plays Kate.
Mm-hmm.
She plays Kate in Wyatt Earp. That's right. Man, she's really good in it, too. She's a great actress on her own. And again, I think there is a certain... We've talked about this before, I think, that there is a certain kind of Hollywood royalty that literally does seem like a different class of people. Like, I'm not a classist, folks. I think you know that if you ever listen to this show. But there does seem to be something with those children of that first generation of Hollywood royalty, really.
The original Nepo babies.
I mean, yeah, I feel like genuinely, I feel like George Clooney has this same thing.
Yeah.
It's just you. I don't know. It's an it. I don't know what else it's It's
like
something.
a gravitas. Like it's
Yes. She doesn't have to say anything. She is gorgeous, and she does say interesting things in this role, and she's naked for part of it, basically. But also, none of that would matter. She's still captivating.
Yeah.
Just existing, and I don't know. You ought to pay a lot for that. I hope she's been paid very well for it over the years. She's just so ethereal, though, in this role. Like, that's the only word for her. She says, I follow the spring. I haven't seen an autumn or winter in years.
I love that.
So she's got this jewel top in the first scene that's, like, barely covering her breasts. She's got this crazy skirt. And, like, she sits and there's thigh for 14 miles. Oh, it's just like, what is this person? And can we have more of her, please? The hairdo is great, too. Anyway.
She
Big
is
Isabella Rossellini fan.
Fantastic and very well costumed.
Okay, we get sort of a recurring joke here. I've mentioned it already a couple of times. Things done twice during something repeated twice by a character. It happens several times in the film. In the opening scene, or one of the opening scenes, we see Meryl Streep's character practicing her surprised face twice before she waves them in. Here we see Goldie practicing her entry to Ernest's life and to throw Madeline out of it. Madeline, I need to speak to Madeline. And she squirts herself again. Madeline, I need to speak to Madeline. I think she nails it pretty well by the time she actually makes it to the house a little bit later.
Yes, very well played.
Okay. I had forgotten this entirely, but once she starts trying to reel Ernest in, she goes, "You're a powerful sexual being, Ernest. But perhaps it's just because I couldn't say the word sexual before.
Oh, so funny.
I can say it now, Ernest. Sexual. Sexy. Sex." And then she just repeats the word sex like 4 or 5 times until he's just had enough. He literally drops a glass. He just can't handle it anymore.
It's too much. It's too much.
I was reminded literally earlier today, we're out at this little, I think it was called the Sunliner Diner or something like that. This cool, like 50s style diner. But they had great soundtrack playing the whole time. On our way out of the restaurant, it's a little strange song to reference at all if you're walking around with your mom. But they were playing 60 Minute Man. There's a line in the chorus where he's lining out what he's going to do with the 60 minutes, right? 15 minutes of teasing and 15 minutes of squeezing and whatever. The last 15 minutes of blowing my top is the end, right? Well, Ernest blows his top here and cracks his whiskey glass on the floor about the 5th time that she says sex.
You can't handle it.
But again, this is Robert Zemeckis being a clever filmmaker. It's sex, 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 broken glass. We flip back to the scene at Isabella's house, and Isabella Rossellini's thigh has taken over the entire screen. I don't know exactly what happened, but it's the only thing that was on camera for several minutes, I feel like. Maybe you saw something different in your viewing, Ashley.
Maybe a distracting shot in there. Someone might have let their camera slip.
So just about the time, though, that we get that insane shot of her leg like crossed over on the chair, she tells Meryl that she's 70 years old, which Meryl, get out of here. What are you talking about? So she's offered the price. Oh, there's a good line. She asks what's in the bottle. Meryl asks what's in the bottle, and she says, just what you came for, a touch of magic, which I really liked. And then she writes down the price and hands it to her, and then immediately burns it. Meryl balks and says, thank you, but no thank you. But before she leaves, Isabella cuts her hand, which she freaks out about, and then she pours a little bit of the potion into the wound. Her liver spots disappear. The skin is supple and fresh and young and pink.
Yep.
You know,
Got your pretty
she's
hands
like,
back. You take a check.
check good? Yeah, take a check? Yeah, sure.
Love that whole actual exchange was so funny to me. I love how out of date writing a check for anything is right now. It's so fucking funny.
Okay. In one of the many conversations that my mother and I have had over these past several days while we've been driving around Tennessee, she was telling me about a mother of one of the people that I grew up with. And she was saying that they don't trust debit cards. And she won't use debit cards. And I was like, well, do you mean that she just carries cash everywhere? And she goes, no, she writes checks. And I was like, where can you write a check?
Also, your whole ass
know.
bank account number is on a check. Your routing number and your bank account number is on your check.
I was like, I don't know. I genuinely do not know for certain when the last time I even had checks printed from a bank account was. I can't remember.
Yeah, we kept them for a while because we had to pay rent that way. But
so
it's been
very
a real long
specifically,
time.
My landlord prefers cash. So like, and I have my own questions about that too.
Well,
I do get receipts.
I do get receipts.
All
They're
right,
handwritten in crayon.
Yeah, exactly right. So she gets the rules. You may continue your career for 10 years, but then you have to disappear from public life. You can fake your own death. You can just retire, whatever you want to do, but you can't be out there and making it obvious that you're immortal. There's a really cool effect after she drinks. It like goes down and highlights all the veins in her chest. It kind of looks cool. Again, the effects in this movie generally hold up really well.
Generally do hold up really well, actually.
I think the funniest, you mentioned the earlier exchange about writing the check was really good, but this next one is my favorite. Just after she drinks, Isabella says, now a warning. And Meryl goes, now a warning?
So perfectly delivered. Like any sort of like facade of being a prim and proper type of person goes out the window.
But I think that it was an example of what you were talking about earlier, where it's almost like Looney Tune inspired, not just the violence, but like that sort of exchange is exactly the sort of thing that like Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny say to each other or something, you know? Okay. She says, you and your body are going to be together for a long time. Be very good to it. And then after she's drunk the potion, she's on her way out of the house. Finally, we begin to see the effects of the potion take place on her body. And just like we said earlier, like her butt inflates one cheek at a time, and then her boobs inflate one boob at a time. And again, all of those effects are really cool. The way her face de-ages, again, I think about how many movies we see now where actors get like seriously de-aged, and it's just sort of wishy-washy, and you're like, okay, I mean, I'll accept it, but this doesn't look real. None of these, and I think partly because they were all aged up, first of all, with makeup.
De-age. Yeah. It's like what they did in Midnight Mass. You know, like we saw those actors right off the bat, and we were like, why does he look 20 years older than he usually does, you know?
Yeah. Elliot from E.T. is not that old, guys. I know how old he is.
I know how old he is.
Yeah. He does not have a son Riley's age. This is nonsense.
This is nonsense. But it is a better way to do it. I think to age up and then de-age is much more effective.
Meryl, and this speaks to what you were saying earlier about like women are just continuously never the right size, never the right shape, never the right age, etc. You're too loud. You're not outspoken enough. What's the song? There's like the pop song right now. Well, I'm too messy. And then I'm too fucking clean or whatever. Like, first of all, it's a catchy pop song. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it. But also, those lyrics are so apt, man. Yeah, it's so perfect. But Meryl says here, I'm a girl when she sees herself in the mirror. And she like turns to talk to Fabio for a minute because she's just like, do you see this?
Yeah, and she's so breathless. I'm a girl. Like the way she says it is even like, like breathy and girlish, like wild.
Y'all, there's a rainstorm happening behind me here. Also, I just realized it's getting a little dark. I'm going to turn the porch light on real quick just so I've got a little bit more light on me. Hang on just a second. Now you know I'm a real hillbilly because I turned the porch light on.
Turn the porch light on.
Yeah. All right. So I love, too, the juxtaposition here. We're getting Helen at home with Ernest, like, plotting this murder. Meanwhile, Madeline is finding the Fountain of Youth on the other side of town. But Helen plays it up. She's flaunting her lovers all over town, Ernest. She's killing you. It's really self-defense. You know, like, she makes this incredible play for the whole thing. I genuinely am wondering if I'm about to have to move inside somehow because... yeah, it's going to rain. Hang on just a second. Like, it's raining enough that it's going to blow in.
I hear the thunder now.
Hang on just 1 second.
Change of venue.
Change of venue.
Man, we had a tree. We lost part of a tree in our backyard. I was like, oh, this is our first brush with the shittery of homeownership.
All right, I'm going to leave this door open. So we will still have the forest behind me. Ashley, you and I have experienced a lot of things podcasting. I don't know if we've ever had a rain delay before.
We haven't had a rain delay. This is, I like it. I like a rain delay.
All right, let's see here. Need to zoom out a little bit. I need to turn it up a little bit. Okay, that'll do, donkey. That'll do. No, turn that light on too. Yeah, that'll be fine. As a matter of fact, it'll honestly be better. Yeah, there we go. Now I've got key and I can't remember the other one. There's a key and frame lighting or some nonsense. All right, where was I? Where were we, Ashley?
Where were we? We were
flaunting her lovers all over town. That's where we were.
Flaunting her lover. We were in the midst of planning a murder.
So I love the way that we see the murder plan played out as like a dream while Goldie narrates it. I think this is hilarious.
Yeah. Oh God, this movie is so funny. It's so funny.
The case is closed. Madeline is dead, and we're free.
We're free. All the melodrama. So brilliant.
And then the timing is perfect too. Goldie finishes telling her story just as Madeline's getting home. Goldie sneaks out the gate, and now we're going to wait. So the way that it plays out is humorous, but I think the best part of this next section is the payoff when finally he gets Helen on the phone to tell him that she's dead, and Goldie says, "Ernest, what part of the plan was unclear to you? We went over it thrice."
Thrice. We went over it thrice. You don't call. You don't make a phone call.
I think she says 3 times. But yeah, like, it's...
Amateur hour. He's so stupid.
Bruce Willis was not like my father in that many ways, but this, my mother explaining something very clearly to him, and then him doing...
exactly the opposite?
Often the exact opposite, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, look, come help me clean this up real quick. What
No.
part of the plan did you not understand? What was unclear to you?
Meanwhile, the most hilarious thing happening is in the background. Meryl Streep.
The body.
Fucking coming up off the ground, trying to puppet her way back to her feet. It's so funny.
Okay, I want to go back for a second, though, because I want to just talk about how much of, I think, all of that, everything that has happened in society since 1992, Ashley, can we explain by how deep an insult Flaccid was to Bruce Willis's character in this movie. They were fine. I mean, not fine. They hated each other. But Bruce did not push her down those stairs until she called him Flaccid.
Flaccid.
And he immediately was like, I'm going to choke this bitch to death right here.
It's your fault I'm flaccid.
I mean, genuinely, y'all, there's a lot about society that goes back to if you truly understand what that meant to that man at that moment in 1992, and every man in the audience that was watching, they all were like, yeah, choke that bitch for a second. That's why the pharmaceutical industry exists as it does in America, right, folks, actually.
More people are medicated. More people should be medicated.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's a lot of that focused on dick pills is what I'm trying to say. Actually.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, let's back up off of it for a second.
Oof,
We've got some solutions to that one, y'all.
How many dick pills are on the market?
I love how she dangles on the edge. Again, this is very Looney Tune.
Oh,
She dangles on the edge of the stairs with her foot hooked there. And she's spinning and spinning, and she's like, "Oh, help me!" And he's apologizing because he realized, "Oh my God, I was going to choke my wife to death. What am I doing?" He's literally backing away from all of it, and then she calls him a wimp. And again, she might as well have called him flaccid again.
she
pokes her.
was.
Yes, boom, 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 boom. She rolls down those stairs she hits her neck and head a dozen times on the way down. It is
so hilariously violent. It is so it's so great. It makes you want to go rewatch it in slow motion, and so you can clock every time she hits her head.
So we have the moment when he's on the phone and she's behind him and Ernest, what did you tried to push me down the stairs? You killed me, Ernest. What are you doing? Well, she doesn't say she killed him because she doesn't realize exactly how hurt she is at that point. She does not realize she's dead. Finally, she goes, "My ass, Ernest! I can see my ass." I wish they would have added, and I wonder if there's not an ad-libbed outtake where she says, "And it's wonderful,
it's beautiful," right?
So he takes her to the hospital. Her condition is so shocking that it kills the doctor.
The doctor. That was so fucking wild.
It's really
that whole
good.
Hospital scene's crazy. And I completely forgot it existed. I did not remember anything about the side quest to the hospital.
Well, and he walks away at one point and they haul Meryl Streep downstairs and he goes, "You took her to the morgue? She'll be furious."
She'll be furious. Yep.
Okay, so Goldie shows up arguing with Ernst about the plot to murder Madeline. Meanwhile, Madeline is overhearing some of this, but again, it's sort of like the flaccid thing earlier being the thing that pushed her over the top. The reason she comes downstairs and gets the shotgun and blows a hole through Goldie Hawn is because Helen says she was a bad actress. She literally scrapes her nails down the column and marches downstairs. Yep. She's like, okay.
You've gone too far this time.
There's a really good exchange when she first appears. Helen says, "Mad," and Madeline says, "Hell," and then Meryl says, "What have you two been plotting?" Okay. After she shoots her, she says, Ernest says, "She's dead." And Madeline says, "Is she? These are the moments that make life worth living."
It's just high drama.
These two actresses are eating it up, right?
Oh,
they're just eating it up.
Chewing up the scenery.
Okay. I'm a big fan of the shotgun blast. It blows Helen up into the air and across the room and into the fountain.
It's so good.
I just want to point out, it also blows a hole through her belly. I'm not a scientist. I don't even play one on TV, but I'm fairly certain that physics says you can't blow a hole through her and also blow her across the room. I don't think both of those things would have worked.
Also, that's probably right. That's right. Also, I don't know that a shotgun would really do exactly that.
Yeah, I think it could probably do one or the other, like a big, especially. I don't know whether I can't remember whether it was a double-barreled shotgun or not. But you imagine perhaps a double-barreled shotgun loaded with steel shot maybe could put a hole through you, or likewise could maybe blow you across the room.
Could maybe blow you across the room.
But I don't think it could do. I mean, again, I think there's just like a loss of energy. If I'm going to blow the hole through you, then I can't also blow your body across the room. I don't know. Somebody check me on that in the comments. How about it?
A physicist?
Yeah.
Or a crime scene.
Do we have any physicists on the airplane?
Any physicists on the plane?
Okay. Madeline says to Ernest here, "Do you know what they do to soft, bald, overweight Republicans in prison?"
So funny.
"I'll get the shovels, dear."
So funny. Like what a fucking crazy night this man has had.
Right?
Like, for real.
He literally just thought his wife was resurrected. I mean, he's convinced that this is a miracle.
Like, this is insane. Like, what's about, it's already been crazy. He's killed one wife. They've killed another lady that he wanted to marry. Like, he's just having a night of it.
So I think probably the most famous shot in the whole movie is this one through Goldie's belly, framing Meryl and Bruce as she stands up out of the fountain. Really, really well done. And again, you got to think like this is I think this is before Terminator 2. It's either right before or right after Terminator 2. There's a couple of shots like that through the Terminator's, liquid metal body or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm imagining, honestly, some of the same effects houses worked on this. Yeah.
Yeah, this was ILM, I think.
Yes. I'm fairly certain as well. But she stands up and she says, "Look at me, Ernest. Just look at me. I'm soaking wet." And he says, "And there seems to be something wrong with your blouse."
There seems to be something wrong with your blouse. What a mealy-mouthed little bastard.
So they start sniping at each other about the potion because immediately Meryl understands what's happened here because she's finally come to terms with the fact that she's dead now too. So she's like, "Wait a minute. If you got a shotgun blast through the belly and are still talking,
you must have had the potion too."
So they're sniping at each other and it's back and forth and it's back and forth. And finally in the background, neither one of them even hear it almost. Ernest goes, "I don't think this was a miracle." It's like, "Oh, you think, Ernest? Welcome aboard, bud."
Good job catching up, sir.
Okay, I think my favorite effect of the whole movie is the scene during this section where Helen has hit Madeline over the head with the shovel and her head goes down into her shoulders, into her torso. It's so good. And then she grabs it and pulls it up and stretches her neck out. Like all of that stuff.
What's hilarious is then throughout that scene, there's various points that she's like, has to pick her head and hold it up a little bit more. And then
trying to fix it.
It's so funny. And when Goldie sits down on that couch and she sits through the...
Yes. the shovel handle that got thrown at her
got thrown through the
sticks
couch.
straight through, like she sits and it just goes straight through her again.
So funny.
Again, like this is what I'm talking about though when I say like Robert Zemeckis does not use special effects because he likes special effects. He has interesting stories, and the only way that he can tell them is because they come up with some new way to make a thing on film.
Right.
And this is a great example of it. He's just using it very, very well for story points, not just
it's so good
for us to go, "Oh, this looks good." Okay, so Ernest agrees to fix the ladies on one condition: you don't ever even think about me again. They're both fine with that, except they realize, what's going to happen when we flake, when we peel?
Who's going to maintain us? Who's going to maintain us?
I know what we need to do. We need to drug him. They immediately go to, let's just knock him out. We'll make him take the potion.
This is a film about no consent.
Yes, this is the opposite of what happens when consent does not matter to you. Or this is what happens when consent does not matter to you. Okay, he's got a great line here as he's trying to leave. He says, "Till death do us part. Well, you girls are dead, and I'm parting."
Bye.
So they've knocked him out now. He won't drink the thing, so they literally just hit him over the head 2 or 3 times. I thought he was going to fall down the stairs, honestly. Which would have served him right. They take him to Isabella's mansion, and I will say,
party.
She makes the fucking pitch to him, right? Like she's doing her work here.
Yeah.
I'm sure she understands how valuable it would be to have a man of his talents around anyway. But
it would be very useful for her to have him around.
She's swimming laps naked when he wakes up in the pool. And then she gets out of the pool naked. They drape her in a robe almost immediately. And then like 2 seconds later, she drops it and is fully naked again. And then they put her in this crazy high-collared gown, and it's like décolletage on display. We talked about the 14 miles of thigh earlier.
Yes,
There's
this is
13 acres of décolletage here.
Yes.
Yeah. And she doesn't wait for the out the door and no, I'm going to catch you in at the last minute. She just cuts his hand and pours the potion on it.
She's like,
to
look
show
at
him
this
what
shit.
she's got. Yeah. She, again, a great line, and it's ironic because I'm currently reading a graphic novel adaptation of Don Quixote. She says, "You were like Don Quixote tilting at nature's windmill." I love, though, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If you look at the movie, and especially like if you remember it from 30 years ago because you saw it once, it's easy to be like, oh yeah, Bruce Willis was right. Like, he wasn't vain like they were, and he wanted to live a life. And like at the end, wasn't he like a super, he's got a bunch of foundations and stuff. All of that's true. Bruce Willis is not a good guy in this movie. Like, he loved both of these women, and he left one for the other and would have done it again because
Killed one of them.
Did kill one of them.
Did kill one of them.
Would have killed the other one, probably.
Killed the other.
Yeah. But his reason for going against this, honestly, is not some like great philosophical tome.
Mm-mm.
He says he would get bored.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What if I get lonely?
I'm not interesting enough to be alive forever. What a bummer.
I mean, it's much less epic than the Queen song, "Who Wants to Live Forever," is what I'm saying. This is not a great, noble reason here. What if somebody pushes me down a flight of stairs? Wait, what if I fall down a flight of stairs? I love he won't even admit to Isabella Rossellini that he killed her.
That I would fall than be pushed, obviously.
But he doesn't want to live forever. He's not going to do it. So now he's on the run in this party. Well, what we quickly realize, he goes upstairs and we realize, oh, they're not alone in the house. There's a full-on party here.
Yeah. And it's her clients. It's all her clients. So it's all it's all people that have drank this potion.
Well, it's a bunch of beautiful people you see right away, and you're like, oh, I bet these are other clients of hers. But then very quickly, we get some cameos to assure us that that's what's happening here. We see Marilyn Monroe and Andy Warhol for sure.
Yep.
And then the big one from the stage, Chagall, that we met earlier, is like, make sure you do not appear in public and cause some news stories. I won't name any names. And then it cuts to Elvis in the crowd. He's like, I'm just trying to have a good time, ladies.
Just trying to have fun. No big deal.
Okay. And again, a pretty good line here from the ladies to each other. This is simply a question of maintenance.
Right. Please.
Ernest gets away. He's got to fight the Dobermans and run away from them. He makes that. He climbs out onto the roof, which I'd forgotten this section, honestly.
Yeah.
Helen and Madeline know, though, where he's headed, and so they follow him up to the roof. And again, they take an opportunity to try to talk him into drinking the potion. And I think they could have, except they take it one step too far, and they're like, we need you. And he remembers he doesn't like these two bitches.
Yeah. I don't need you to need me. That's terrible. I'll be stuck with y'all forever.
So he drops the potion, and he falls to his death, except it's not, because he falls through the glass roof into the pool. He's fine.
Good times.
So he gets away. He steals a car from somebody at the party, at the valet, and he's gone. And so we flash forward one more time, 37 years later. So I did the math. I think this is supposed to be set in 2029, which, again, it's rare, honestly, Ashley, for a movie from our childhood
to not have
fast forwards into the future and not already, we're like, oh, the future year of 2020, what will we do?
Oh, my God.
I mean, like, I think Minority Report is set in like 24, guys. So, like, it's not, a lot of this is depressing.
Yeah. We should have hoverboards.
This is still okay, though.
We should have hoverboards.
Ernest doesn't die for another several years, so we're good here.
That's right.
But the pastor or whatever, the person that is conducting the service for his funeral says that Ernest always believed that life begins at 50. He got married again. He had children. He got sober and formed his own like AA foundation or something. He climbed mountains. We see pictures of him like probably it's supposed to be Everest or something. He founded all sorts of clinics and charities. And then the pastor says, we've all heard his tall tales about the living dead in Beverly Hills.
So
I do
funny.
love the idea that like for the rest of this dude's life, he was like, no, really? Elvis took a potion and he's like right over there. I could show you where the castle is.
They're there sometimes.
So the girls are bickering in the back of the service with their veils on. and talking, and everybody keeps turning around and like staring at them. They finally get up and walk away. But just as they're about to exit the chapel, the pastor says, "I earnestly believe that this man in his own way had learned the secret of eternal life." And they both turn around and they're like, blah, 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 and then walk out of the service. Like, again, even in his death, they have no time for Ernest's humanity. Okay, the end of this movie is so perfect. They trip on the spray paint can that one of them had dropped earlier, and then they literally crack apart like Humpty Dumpty.
Oh, it's so funny.
It's perfect.
It's just body parts everywhere.
Yes.
It's hilariously gross. It's just gross and funny.
And Helen says, "Do you remember where you parked the car?" while they're lying in pieces. It's perfect. It's so wonderful.
Oh,
this is a great movie, guys.
It really is. I can't believe how well it holds up. It's so fun. It's so campy. It's so fucking funny. It's so aware of itself. It's very, very good.
Yeah, it was not on our schedule to do. This was kind of a surprise for us, but I think it very much fits our entire ethos. Yeah. And it's just a good
soap
time.
Dish vibes. Did you ever see Soap Dish? I fucking love Soap Dish.
Absolutely. Well, so, and I mean, I'm watching and reacting on our YouTube channel and on our Patreon to Dark Shadows, the original supernatural soap opera, and which, by the way, if you've been waiting with bated breath as I recovered from my seizure to make some new ones, there's new ones up. There's one up right now as we're recording this on Patreon. There'll be a couple more over the next day or two, and then YouTube will have them all, those 3 on Saturday. Patreon will already have another 3. But we're like up to episode 60. And the supernatural stuff is really just beginning to happen on Dark Shadows. But I have been so thoroughly enjoying the soap opera nature of it. Soap operas are, and we've talked about this before on the show, they're like such a specific art form and such an interesting storytelling like genre, and the conventions of them are interesting. And like, you know, when I was in college, it was after you had left, we did a version of Zastrata.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Zastrazzi?
Zastrazzi.
Zastrazzi is the name of the show. Zastrazzi. So I was not in Zastrazzi, but I saw it and I was involved in the backstage stuff while they were working on it. And like, I had never been up until that point familiar with melodrama. I'd never seen a melodrama actually, and I didn't really know what the point of that was. But soap opera is just a form of melodrama, and it is like and honestly, I think this is very relevant to the Anne Rice of it all. The reason why Anne Rice's books are so universal is not because there are lots of vampires or even people that believe in them. Vampires are the other, right? They are for anyone who feels like the outsider. And through telling a heightened story about these supernatural characters, we can all come to war and discuss and think about and process our own otherness and our own othering of other people as well, right? That's what melodrama is for. That's what soap opera is for. And it's some of it is really, really good. The format makes you think that it's corny and lesser, but it is not inherently so. And this is a silly movie, but it ain't. Brilliant. It's a movie about something, and it's got a lot of things to say, and it's full of great artists doing really, really great work.
Yeah, so it's fun as hell. I highly recommend a rewatch if you haven't done it.
It's on Peacock, y'all. Go watch it for free. I'm telling you. Well, I don't think you can
watch it for your
Peacock. A very small, Peacock fee plus the ads, which are very reasonable, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, so next week, right here, same bat time, same bat channel. Get it, bats, vampires. It's a funny thing. We're going to talk about Merrick, chapters 1 through 6. We'll start our book club for Merrick, the next book in the Vampire Chronicles from Anne Rice. Have you started reading it, Ashley?
I have.
I'm a couple of chapters in. This is a strange book for me, and if you're reading the Audible, I think in particular the narrator is very different. David Talbot's the narrator of this book in Universe. We've had a couple of David Talbot books already, but in this one, Lestat is such a minor character and comes in so late in the game compared to the main featured players. It's very, very different for me.
Yeah, it is very different.
I don't know. I'm enjoying it, and I'm excited to talk about it and break it down with you all. But it is a strange one.
Yeah, I haven't read this one in a really long time, so I'm already like completely sucked in and excited.
I mean, it's been about as long since I read Merrick as it was since I had seen Death Becomes Her. I think it's pretty close.
Damn near.
Honestly. Yeah. So that's coming up next week. We've got Dracula's Daughter, the it's like 1935, 37, something like that film. Very old film, very, very cool film, one of Anne's favorites. We've got The Witch from Robert Eggers. We're going to do his Nosferatu as well. Later, we're also going to do the original Nosferatu from Murnau in 22, I think that one came out.
Hell
and
yes.
then we're also going to do Poor Things with, I can never remember her name.
Emma
Stone.
Emma Stone.
Why does she escape me? I really like her.
She's fantastic. And Mark Ruffalo.
She's great. Yeah, Mark Ruffalo's in it too, and Willem Dafoe is in that one as well as
That's
in
wild.
Nosferatu. So, yeah, we got a bunch of great stuff coming up. Stay tuned for all of that. Schedules in the show notes below. And thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Thanks, everybody, by the way, for your patience for my late delivery on those Dark Shadows videos. And we've also got coming this week on the YouTube some What You Missed in Interview with the Vampire Season 2 as I wrap up
Hell
Season 2.
yes.
Yeah. Ashley, anything to say before we say goodbye?
Nope, just take care and safe travels to you, Joel, coming back
Thanks,
this
man.
way. And yeah, everybody take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next week.
Until next time, we have been your hosts. I'm Joel.
I'm Ashley.
And we are the Articulate Coven.
Thanks for listening to The Articulate Coven. If you enjoyed the show, check out our groups on Facebook and Discord. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Or find us at articulatecoven.com and wherever you listen to podcasts.